This is a technique that I feel like is so underrated and slept on and can get you in those doors for you to gain more opportunities when you feel like there's nothing going for you. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Elijah Best and I am a current pre-med undergraduate student with intentions to apply to medical school next year, and I am so excited and can't wait. I'd appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button. I know we can get to 20 subs by the end of this month. On this channel, I just want to share my journey as a pre-med student and on the road to becoming a doctor. In this video, I specifically wanted to talk about networking and how that has gotten me places that I never would have imagined before. Typically, how do I network, what opportunities that I gain from it, and how to be a good networker, right? Because it's a two-way street. So sit tight, grab the popcorn, and enjoy the show. So what is my definition of networking? Well, I think networking is building professional relationships with like-minded individuals who are where you want to be or who are where you think you might want to explore further. So that relationship can be between a coworker, a student in your class, maybe a mentor. Now, this individual might have had an experience that maybe you want, right? Or maybe they have advice and insight into an experience that you've never done before. Or maybe they have a connection to something to where they would love to pull you in or know that you're the right candidate for. One of the most important things when you're networking is to know that it is a two-way street, right? It's not a parasitic relationship where one just festers on the other. You can have a relationship with somebody and they're pulling you into a project or recommending your name to someone else, right? You can do the same for that other individual. So it's great to have a conversation about, what have you done? What experiences are you trying to get right now? How can I help you in that? And in return, they can be like, okay, I know you. This is something that you might be good for. I know you're trying to get to this or do this. Let me recommend you to this, right? When you build these relationships, I think it's so important to just put yourself out there and talk. Trust and believe. I am a very type B person. I'm introverted. I'm very quiet. But I know that when I'm out there in the real world that I have to have social skills and the ability to talk to people. So just sit down and have a conversation. Talk to that student, When I'm in lab class, I always love to talk to other individuals and actually gain a relationship. I also get to know the person that I'm working with and maybe have opportunities for them that, they are looking into, right? For example, as my clinical experience, I'm a nursing assistant. And anytime, I come into individuals who I kind of want to have clinical experience, but I really don't know or have a direct pinpoint of what I want to do. I always say, hey, apply to my job. They're always hiring. There is so much different sectors of my job that you can, apply to. And this is something that I always love to say. As long as you're an ethical and nice human being, you have a high percentage of getting in. To sum it up, when you're building these network relationships, it's so important to lean into the other person as they are leaning into you, right? Talk about your intentions, talk about goals that you want to achieve. And if they are not a hater and want you to prosper, they'll throw stuff your way too and be like, oh, I'm on this and I think you'll be good for this. Let me go talk to somebody about that. Don't just build the relationship to leash onto them and be like, I'm gonna take every opportunity from them and there's nothing that I can do for them. I feel as though there's always something that you can help somebody else with. And even if you don't have anything in mind, maybe you can give them advice. All what I said right there is specifically for if you're building a relationship with another student where you're kind of on the same level, right? That's gonna be very, very different if you have a mentor that, for example, I'm a pre-med, I build a relationship with an individual who's already an attending. When you kind of at the same level, advocate for one another and genuinely show interest in what they have going on. Let me provide you with a little bit of story of how networking has got me the opportunities that I currently have now. Now, I don't think that, just because I was networking was the only reason that I got my foot into some of these doors, right? On top of all of that, you still have to be a great applicant. It's kind of like I see it as the right place at the right time. Yes, gaining these opportunities, I might have known somebody else who put me in that position and spoke highly of me, but I was still a great applicant. And when I got that opportunity, you still have to put in the work and really show in that experience that you're serious about this and you want to do this. As I said, I am a nursing assistant at UPenn Hospital. And before I ever got that job, I was a nursing assistant in a nursing home. And I had this coworker who currently worked at the hospital that I work at now, but it was in a different section. One day we were just talking about what we wanted to do with life. I was like, yeah, at that time I knew I wanted to have a healthcare role position, but I just didn't really know what I wanted to do, whether that be, being a nurse or going to radiography or being a respiratory therapist or being a doctor. And she said, it's great to have different experiences in the role that we have now as nursing assistants. She explained to me that not only was she a nursing assistant, at the nursing facility that we were at, but she also did work on the side as a unit secretary at the hospital that I work now. So she said, I think you should apply. This was an older individual, and they obviously saw my work ethic and wanted to advocate for me. And she basically told me that, if you apply, put my name on there, I'll put in a good word for you. I was very excited about this opportunity when she said this, because being in the hospital as a CNA was already in the back of my mind, but I just didn't know how to break through and enter into that lane. So when she told me this, I was like, okay, great. This is my opportunity to actually do what I want to do, which is gain experience in a hospital, because all of my experience before working as a nursing assistant for maybe 1 or 2 years was in various nursing homes. And the rest is history. I applied to all the various nursing assistant roles that were open at UPenn Hospital, and I was able to land a nursing assistant position on the cardiology unit. And this is where I've been for the past 2 years. All this to say that connection might get you in the door, but it is up to you to slam through that door and show that you're worth it. So I'm gonna continue on with the story just to kind of give you an idea of what networking can do for you and how it is so effective. On my journey of being a pre-med, I knew that research was something that I wanted to look into. And, I'm a year into my nursing assistant's job on the cardiology unit, and I knew research was another field that I wanted to explore. I got on my laptop, got on my computer, and started searching for opportunities, but research is such a big sector, it's a big field, and it's so important to narrow down exactly what you want to do, in my opinion, with research, because there's so many different things that you can do. I looked back on my clinical experience and kind of pinpointed, what did I like and what did I want to know more of and be curious about. And I remembered that early on in my clinical experience, before I was a nursing assistant, certified nursing assistant, I started off in healthcare as a home health aide. And one of my assignments was a man that had dementia. He lived with his wife, who was fully coherent. She still had a part-time job, but needed help with her husband day in and day out, who had dementia. And I had so many different questions, and I was just so curious about this prognosis and neurodegenerative diseases. So that's exactly what I looked for when I wanted a role in research. I came across this opportunity, which I talked about in the previous video before this, my research internship experience. I came across a research internship for the summer that specifically dealt with neurodegenerative diseases. One of the requirements to apply to this internship position was that you turn in a letter of recommendation. One of my letter of recommendations came from the wife of the husband who I was helping out with as a home health aide. And I feel like this was very pivotal for me gaining the research internship that specifically dealt with neurodegenerative diseases. That was another connection where I put the pieces together in order to apply and ultimately get this role. It's important to keep relationship with those individuals who will bat for you and advocate for you when the time is needed. Also, I forgot to mention, when I first heard about this position, I gained more experience in the community, specifically dealing with neurodegenerative diseases. Trust me, I'm not a gunner. I am not a gunner. I promise you, I'm not a gunner. I was able to pick up shifts on the weekend at a separate nursing facility, with the main population being individuals who were impacted by Alzheimer's. And that just gave me more insight into, the population that I was going to be dealing with, because I really wanted to do a good job and show that I'm serious about this work. So yeah, you can watch my other video about my research internship experience. I completely loved it. I gained a lot of connections and I met like-minded people who were on the same path as me, and those are individuals that I still keep up with to this day. That research internship was last year, so how does that lead me to today? Because this is all a connecting story, right? I got a job at the hospital by networking, and then through my past experiences and keeping up with those relationships that I built prior, I was able to get a research internship position. And where does that lead me now? So my current role as a nursing assistant, I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I feel like it's so important to gain all aspects of experience in this career before I decide to apply to medical school and become a doctor. I love my position. I love being a nursing assistant. I wouldn't trade it for the world. The relationships that I bond with patients who are in the most vulnerable times of their life, to me, to be able to help out in any way, shape, or form, whether that be in personal care, having a conversation, you just never know how much a conversation can affect another person's day for the better. I don't know about you guys, but I love hearing grandpa and grandma stories. Like when I hear things about them when they were young, or how they were coming up, or the jobs that these people had, and you would have never thought the things that these individuals do, it just warms my heart, honestly. I would say I probably have 3 or 4 years of experience as a nursing assistant in all kind of various forms in the nursing facility and in the hospital, which is not a lot of time when you think about a full career. But if you're specifically talking a pre-med, I feel as though that's a lot of hours that I have gained, and a lot of clinical hours specifically as a nursing assistant that I'll be able to put on my resume. While I was a research intern last year, I was able to come across a role that, I haven't thought of before, and low-key didn't know that it was a thing, because that was my first kind of inkling into research. And the role I'm talking about is a clinical research coordinator. And this was a role that really gravitated towards me. During my experience, I set up multiple times to shadow the clinical research coordinator that was assigned to me. And that was my mentor, who was an intern the year prior. We had a little bit of conversations about her role. I was able to do a day in the life with her and see everything that she did. And it is something that stuck with me the whole year. So fast forward to today, this is a role that I am soon to be transitioning into. I love specifically when I get to go to a new thing that I have no experience of, and just get to be a sponge and soak up everything and learn all aspects. The individual that's kind of the oversight of the research internship program that I had last year, I kept up with this person, and I was kind of just sharing updates along the way about what I've been doing, how I've been, with the same individual who I was conducting the research with. She brought me on this year. I'm just getting research done, and I had a conversation with her and explained how, I think this is something that I want to go into. Oh, forgot to mention, I became a mentor to the individuals who are in the research internship cohort this year for the same research that I was doing last year. So yeah, I was just updating her on my journey, and we kept in touch. And recently they did their presentations on all the research that they've done. So I went in person, and before I even went in person, I emailed this individual stating how I feel like I need an environment change, and I really want to try my hand in clinical research as a coordinator. And thankfully, by the grace of God, there was open positions available when I reached out to her. So soon, your boy will be starting his new clinical experience as a clinical research coordinator. And I really, honestly, and truly cannot wait. So that was kind of the timeline on how I started as a nursing assistant in a nursing facility and networked and got to the hospital at UPenn Hospital and networked and got a research internship, summer research internship, and networked again after that and got my research coordinator role that I am soon to start next month. So yeah, while you're studying for the MCAT, studying for that hard biochemistry test, I advise to work on your networking skills because, this doesn't just stop at the college level. This translates into when you're in your career, when you're a doctor, when you're, whatever you want to be in life. And I hope you achieve it 1000%. I love to say that a conversation can be a catalyst for an opportunity. Sometimes you have to be willing to take the risk. This life comes with the risk, and you have to really sit down with yourself. How much are you willing to risk? To the best of your ability, you have to advocate for yourself 1000% because nobody else will, and nobody knows you like you know you. And this is something that is so important for me, and a lesson that I've learned on this journey is the worst that they can say is no. But if you never tried, if you didn't even apply or send that email, you wouldn't have gotten a response regardless. So it's always best to shoot your shot and advocate for yourself because, as we know, you only get one life. YOLO. YOLO, YOLO, YOLO. If you stayed to the end of this video, thank you. I appreciate it. You have a great attention span to listen to me, and I appreciate it. If you enjoy these kind of sit down videos where I sit and yap for a couple minutes, or lifestyle pre-med vlogs, or just day in the life of a college student, I suggest that you hit that like and subscribe button because there is way more content on the way. As always, you got this. You can achieve everything that you set out in life. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Boom!